This is episode 6 of Talk Magic to Me for April 16th, 2014.
Welcome back to Talk Magic to Me, the critical Disney discussion podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Danielle.
I'm Jen.
And I'm Prince Eric.
And you are listening to episode 6 of Talk Magic to Me, where we talk about Pinocchio. Yay!
Woo, Pinocchio.
Yes, this is exciting. I have to tell you guys, and I know we were just talking about this, but I went to a Phillies game today.
Yes.
And they asked the players what their favorite Disney movie was.
Really?
Yeah, they had a whole little movie about it, and unfortunately nobody said Pinocchio, but many said The Lion King.
Yeah, see, because a lot of them are around that age, so they would say that. They have a thing, I think, was that on Ask the Phillies?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, they have a thing that comes on like the big Jumbotron between the innings. One of them is Ask the Phillies, where fans send in questions, and then they record the players answering that question. So this question, I guess, was, what's your favorite Disney movie? And they went through the players, and they all said what theirs was.
Yeah.
What were some other answers? I'm curious.
One, Cole Hamels said Peter Pan.
Really?
Somebody said Pete's Dragon.
Wow, that's interesting, yeah.
Old school.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah.
Ryan Howard said The Lion King and Aladdin.
Huh.
And what else? I'm trying to remember. Oh, somebody said Air Bud.
Air Bud.
Okay.
Yeah, which I cracked
Yeah,
up.
I want to know who that was.
I forget. I should have looked, but I forget. I think Chase Utley said... Oh yeah, he said Finding Nemo.
Aw.
Yeah. I forget the others, but yeah. That was cool. I was very happy.
Yeah.
Good question.
That's interesting.
It was a great question. I was like, oh, this is wonderful. My life.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, I want to have an announcement real quick. Just to say happy Passover and happy Easter to our listeners. Because Passover starts Tuesday. So a day before this podcast comes out, and then Easter is next Sunday.
Yes.
Good Friday and everything.
Yeah.
All bunched up. And Palm Sunday. Today's Palm Sunday.
Yeah, that was today, yeah.
Yes, today's Palm Sunday, yes.
If you're like me and you celebrate both...
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's right, you do. Yeah. And also, a Disney announcement again. This is kind of late, but tomorrow for us, but this will be Monday for you listeners... Dancing with the Stars is having a Disney night, apparently.
Who's going to be on that?
Well, the dancers that I know of on it are Candace Cameron.
How is she Disney?
No, it's more like I think they're dancing to Disney music.
Oh.
Well, they have any Disney guests? Like, because sometimes when they had Broadway and everything, they had Kristen Chenoweth sing, and wonder if they have any Disney guests.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Candace Cameron.
Yeah, Candace Cameron's one of the dancers. I'm trying to remember. That pop star Cody Simpson's on there.
I don't know who that is.
He's kind of like a Justin Bieber, except... well, I don't know what else to say about that, except blonde.
Stop insulting him.
Sorry, my bad. I forget who else. I'm like blanking. But anyway, hopefully you guys have watched it. I wish I could have announced it last time, but I didn't know about it last time, so...
True.
Yeah. So before we get started in our episode, let us go to our This Day in Disney History, the part of the podcast where we tell you what's happened on the day that this podcast releases. So this podcast releases April 16th, and in 1924 on this day, the award-winning composer Henry Mancini, who wrote the music.
Correct.
I've heard of him, yeah.
He wrote the Pink Panther theme.
Oh, did he?
Yes.
Well, he also wrote music for The Great Mouse Detective.
That would make sense, yeah.
Yes, he was born this day in Cleveland, Ohio.
Very nice.
And I just see now that it says his best-known works include the Pink Panther theme and the timeless song Moon River, which was sang by Audrey Hepburn.
That's right, he did write Moon River.
Then I'm going to move way ahead again to 2001. In 2001, Disney's newest resort, Animal Kingdom Lodge, opened.
My favorite!
Yeah,
Me too. I love it there.
That is my favorite resort in all of Disney World.
It's amazing.
Yeah, that's got to be one of the, like, I remember we didn't stay there, but we, like, right when that opened, we walked through it just to see what it was like, and I couldn't believe that, like, was a real place that you could stay at.
Yeah, it's wonderful. We stayed there.
We stayed there by accident once because our first year we stayed at French Quarter, and then we were going to go back again 2 years later in 2003, and they messed up our order, or for some reason the French Quarter was under construction that year, or for something prevented them from giving us a room, so they didn't have a room for us. So we were able to pick from any deluxe resort. And
I would have picked that one.
Yeah, since that just opened, like April, and I think we went in May or something, or June, we went right into that one, and so we stayed there for the first time by accident, just by luck. And now we can't keep away from it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Favorite.
That's definitely a great place to stay at by accident. Wow.
It's gorgeous. Especially at Christmas with the tree and the decoration. Oh my god.
Oh yeah, I've never been there then.
I should have gone there. I was just there at Christmas.
Oh, I can't.
Oh well.
My favorite.
Yeah, I'll have to do that next time when there is a next time. Okay, then we go to 2004, and we have Christy Carlson Romano, who most of us know from Even Stevens.
Ren.
But at this time, yes, Ren. And she was on Beauty and the Beast. She played Belle on Broadway.
Yes.
And she appeared as a guest on WB11 Morning News on this day. In 2007, Disney announces that Disneyland's fleet of antique passenger trains have been converted from diesel to biofuel.
Oh, well,
and that
that's
saves.
exciting.
Well, it's not very exciting, you're right, but it says it saves them as much as 150,000 gallons of diesel fuel each year. So I thought that was important.
Yeah.
That was cool. And then in 2010, we have Disney's 5th California Food and Wine Festival kicking off at Disney's California Adventure. And yeah, that's about it. I've always wanted to go to the Food and Wine Festival in Florida.
At Epcot, yeah. I've never done that either.
When is that?
I think it is around this time.
It's spring, yeah. It's before their Star Wars weekends, I believe.
Whoa, when's that?
May.
Oh.
Yeah, May the 4th.
Yeah.
Ah, that's right. Okay, that makes sense now.
May the 4th be with you.
Yeah.
They're actually, oh my goodness, tangent, but they're actually building up their Star Wars weekends crazy lately. They're doing all these extra character dinners and breakfasts with Mickey dressed as the Star Wars characters. And
that's so fun.
They're even having a hard ticket event where you pay extra, just like the Christmas party and Halloween party, where they have special parades and fireworks just Star Wars themed. This is the first year they're doing that, yeah. This first year they're having a hard ticket event.
That's right, because Disney now owns Star Wars.
Well, they do. Yeah, they always had Star Wars weekends, though, but now they're really building it up.
Well, actually, speaking of theme parks then, why don't we go into Jen's theme park corner for Pinocchio?
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so Pinocchio. In the Magic Kingdom, there is a quick service called Pinocchio Village Haus? Is that how you pronounce it?
House.
House? Is it house? I wasn't sure of Germany or whatever.
I assumed it was
Pinocchio
house.
German?
I thought it was
know.
Italian.
Yeah, it is Italian.
Oh, it sounds German. I don't know.
It does, but the author is definitely Italian, so I would assume.
So there's that quick service. And in Disneyland, there's a ride called Pinocchio's Daring Journey, which is similar to Snow White's Scary Adventure, but Pinocchio themed. And I can't remember that ride. It's weird. I'm sure I had rode it when I went, but I can't place it in my mind. I even was reading the description of it, and I just can't remember. And it's still open to this day, so you can go to Disneyland and ride that. So I know it's a dark ride, and can't really add much because I don't remember that ride at all. But and in Fantasmic at Hollywood Studios, there's lots of Pinocchio clips and Jiminy Cricket's in the bubbles, and they have this that scene when he's in the bubble getting his hat from the bubble. That's in there. Yeah, and the whale, whenever the whale's coming closer to the screen, that section is in there. And also at the finale when they have the big boat with all the characters, Pinocchio's on that as well.
Oh right, yeah.
Yes. And in Wishes, of course, Magic Kingdom's big fireworks show, Jiminy Cricket is basically the narrator for this show. I mean, he comes in and he preps it and he talks, and all the things about wishing, and obviously it's just called Wishes. And they have the song, what's the song? When You Wish Upon a Star, that's it.
Yeah.
That song, that's like the big main song for the show, and the blue fairy's there and kind of saves the day, I guess, because there's like a villain section of the show, and he's like, oh, the blue fairy, and she makes all the wishes come true and defeats all the villains and stuff. And lots of Jiminy Cricket stuff, and Pinocchio actually has his wish about becoming a real boy that's thrown in there when all the kids are wishing for things. And so that's nice. And in the parades, Pinocchio and his fellow characters are almost in every parade. They're in the Christmas parade, the Halloween parade, the Main Street Electrical parade. They were in Spectro Magic, and even in the new Festival of Fantasy parade. Pinocchio's in the finale one with Mickey and Minnie and all the general characters he's thrown in on there.
But isn't the very end of Spectral Magic Jiminy Cricket waving on the very last float? Or is that one of them? I know that it is.
I know he's on the back of a float. You're right with that.
Yeah.
And I know it's a light up parade that he's on the back of a float for.
Yes, one of those. Yeah, I remember him being the end.
That's quite possible. But I don't remember which parade, though.
Yeah, I don't know.
I remember one parade, like I said, that he's in practically all the parades where there's actually his own float where they have the fishbowl and the cat, like, pawing at the fishbowl, and it's kind of animated. I know that's on a float, but geez, pick a parade. I don't know which one that's in, but for some reason stuck in my head where he's pawing. That might be the Christmas parade, because I remember him being in, like, a snow globe, maybe, and they're kind of all in globes, and I think it might be that one. But anyway, yeah, he's practically every parade. If you want to meet any of the Pinocchio characters in Disney World, that's extremely rare lately. He hasn't been seen for years at a steady location.
He hasn't been spotted in years.
No, and they come out like once in a while, but very rare occasion. And
is there an Italy section of Epcot?
Yes, there is.
You would think they'd be there.
You'd think.
No, I have here that at one point he was appearing at Town Square in the Magic Kingdom, but I don't know if he still does or not. Because it seems he's pretty... I mean, he appears at all the other ones. At Disneyland, in Paris, Tokyo. He's all over. You can find him anywhere. But in Disney World, they had that limited time magic lately where the long lost characters, they called it, came back. Yeah. And you can meet them. And I think he was included there, but as a steady location, he's not anywhere. Which I find kind of weird because he's popular and iconic and everyone knows him.
Yeah, he's definitely like the most, I think, prominent character ever made by Disney.
Really?
Just because he's everywhere. I mean, the Wishes fireworks thing, that was from almost word for word from the movie. And he's used in, like, I know they made a short film called, I think it's Mickey's Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
And he's in that, as, again, like, or he's the ghost of Christmas Past. And he's in tons of things anyway, like in Advos and stuff, almost like Tinkerbell, I'd say.
The Geico commercial.
And it's unique, though.
Yeah.
He's not a princess or anything, so it makes him a unique character, I guess.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, I saw some VHS tape. It was like one of those Disney sing-along tapes, and there was one where they showed like the costume character of Pinocchio, and the guy, and I'm gonna laugh saying this, but the guy was riding jet skis, and it was the funniest image. Just Pinocchio in that costume, and he was on, not on jet skis, but like water skis, and he was getting pulled by a boat, and I thought it was the funniest thing.
Wow.
Okay.
Eric's just like cracking up, and Jen and I are like, okay.
I thought that was the funniest thing.
I guess you had to be there to see it.
You just think of that costume character riding water skis.
It does sound very strange.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, I'm done.
You okay there?
Yeah, I'm good.
You okay?
But
calm down. It's okay.
That concludes my theme park corner anyway. I don't really have much more than that.
Well, no, that's pretty good, because if you think about it, like, everything you said, those are really big things in the parks. Especially the shows, I think.
I actually thought he would be found in more locations, but I was surprised. And I guess he doesn't really have a villain, I mean, that they can really put in the parks anyway. Or that would come across, well, like the Fox guy or whatever. I remember him being in a parade.
Honest John. Yeah, I remember them. Honest John and Gideon.
Yeah.
I think the Christmas one. I bet that float that I was talking about was the Christmas one, because I think that's when all the Pinocchio characters are around it.
I don't think I've ever seen them at all. Like, any Pinocchio characters when I've been at the park.
I've seen Pinocchio himself.
I don't think I have, but maybe, I don't know.
And then I saw him on water skis.
Wow. That's just we're just gonna keep going back to that. That's okay if it makes you laugh. Man. Makes me smile.
Yeah. Oh man.
Okay. Alright, so are we ready to get to our discussion?
Yes.
I am ready.
Okay. So let's go around the podcast circle, the Skype circle, and I guess state our overall opinions of this movie. So why don't we start with Jen?
Okay. My overall thoughts of the movie are, I was surprised at how, not bad as in a horrible sense, but how non-Disney it felt, and how I don't think any of this would be permitted in a Disney movie now. And I was really surprised at how there was alcohol and drugs and cigars and smoking and kidnapping little boys and just all these things. And I was more surprised by all of those. There were more distractions than I couldn't really even focus on what was happening. So I was like, whoa, everything just kept shocking me, how far they were pushing it. So that was my first impression of, did I see this movie before? What was I watching when I was little? Because that's totally different.
Yeah.
But I liked it more than I thought I would. I thought I'd be kind of bored, but I liked it.
Very nice. What about you, Eric?
Well, I thought I had the same reaction that Jen did, where I couldn't believe that a lot of the things that were in the movie were in the movie, like the drinking and the smoking of the cigars, and just the number of times that they say, "Oh, we're gonna trick stupid little boys," and they really didn't mean it in the same way that if you said that today, that would be taken as. They really didn't mean it in that sense. And so just on top of being surprised by all of that, it surprised me that the number of iconic Disney things that were in this movie, despite the fact that I think this was a very one of the most forgotten Disney movies. I think that the actual movie, the story, is very... People say you couldn't even remember what the villain's name was. It's very hard for a lot of people to remember a lot of specific parts about the movie and what the movie's actually about. Yet, When You Wish Upon a Star, which is probably the most iconic Disney song of all time, is in this movie. That's where that comes from. And also, Jiminy Cricket, which was used in a lot of other things and seen as sort of a leading character right up there with Mickey. This is the movie that he comes from. So just seeing all these iconic, what became iconic Disney aspects between the music and specific characters, and how forgetful and forgotten this movie seems to have become, really shocked me.
I guess for me, I was kind of in the middle with this movie. I sort of was on the same side you guys are on, that when I watched it, I couldn't believe just how terrifying that whole donkey scene is, and that whole thought of that is just terrifying to me. And again, seeing all the cigars and the drinking, and the fact that they say jackass, like,
they
3 or 4
don't,
times.
I don't think they don't mean it like we mean that now.
Oh, no.
They mean it literally like it was, the definition is a donkey. That's how they meant it.
Yeah. Make jackasses out of them.
Yeah.
But I do agree what you're saying, that we kind of only remember Pinocchio how we want to remember it, and how everyone kind of collectively just instinctively went to the happy moments and the ways that we want to remember Jiminy Cricket, and the moments where they're in the house and when he comes alive, and and the little things, but the rest of the movie, no one ever talks about, thinks about, and like you said, it's completely forgotten. It's weird that it's so familiar, yet so forgotten at the same time.
Yeah.
Right. And that's another thing. I think I had too high expectations for this film. I'm not sure, because by the end of it, when Pinocchio was searching for his father in the whale
Monstro.
What was his? Monstro. I was thinking, oh my gosh, I just want this movie to be over. And I don't know, the story, I actually listened to the audiobook, and I didn't enjoy that, and I didn't really enjoy Pinocchio in general, the movie. I think it was well done, but my thoughts at the end were, I did not like that movie.
Danielle, I had the same reaction where you just wanted the movie to be over. I think a lot of the scenes were really stretched out. At the very beginning of this movie, there's about a 20 to 30 minute section that's just showing Geppetto made all these different types, because he's a wood carver, so he made all these different types of clocks, and it goes through every single one and shows in detail what happens, what characters come out of them. And I just think that if that movie made today, people would get really bored. People would start looking at their phones. It doesn't keep your attention, because it's the same thing, and it just stays on that for so long. And I was really surprised. I didn't understand why it stayed on that.
That was one of my favorite moments in the whole movie, where the focus on the clocks, because movies don't take their time like that now. I think they speed through, and to go into detail. And I mean, at this time, I'm not sure when Walt was looking at his Tiki Bird house or whatever, that ride attraction,
the Tiki Room.
Yeah, I wasn't sure. I don't know when this falls in with Small World's invention or the time frame, but that totally reminded me back whenever, or was he in Germany or somewhere, where he found an animatronic bird, and he took it apart and brought it back to the U.S. and told his Imagineers, here, look how this works, and figure this out, and then make it happen. And that's why the Tiki Room was even invented. So I loved the clocks. I loved how each one moved differently, and it kind of I was thinking, I wonder if when this movie was made, in this scene, Walt particularly said, I want a scene where this is the focus, and all these little animations and the little animatronics and all the little details and different mechanics are focused on. So I kind of took that as a nod toward him, and I liked that part. It's one of my favorite parts.
It was. I agree with you. I think, especially the earlier Disney movies, you definitely see this attention to detail. Like, the thing I noticed was when Jiminy opens the book and the page starts to fall over and he has to quickly push it back. That was totally unnecessary, but at the same time, it's there, and I
thought that was funny.
Kind of funny. Yeah, exactly. It's a nice touch. No, it didn't need to be there, but it was there, and I do think our modern audience, if it was made today like that, would be like, are you serious? Why was that there? And with the clocks, they would be looking at their phones. But I do agree with Jen that I think it was a very nice scene, but I also see where you're coming from, Eric, that people wouldn't pay attention to it today.
I think if they just did it for a little bit, but it seemed to go on for really long,
it did.
Weirdly really long is the only thing. And then they had that whole part where they were all dancing, and it's just if they want to do that for I didn't have a problem with that in itself. It's just that it went on for so long. It was the same thing for forever and ever, and then kept going on and on.
Well, I don't know if you guys also noticed. I'm not sure when they stopped doing this with Disney, but it definitely harks back to these old films where they start with the credits, and they have that. Do you guys know exactly why they do that? Because if not, I can explain it. Why they have the credits in the beginning of films instead of after.
Oh, I thought that all movies just sort of did that.
Well, they did that back then. You'll notice now they really don't do that as much. They'll do it, but they'll actually have footage in the background, and you'll be watching it still, and you won't be paying attention to the actors' names and stuff.
Right.
They did it back then because people were still getting seated in the theater, and so it was almost like a intro thing where people could, almost like in a musical theater production. Again, it's harking back to musical theater, where it has a song start to play.
The overture.
And people...
The overture,
exactly, that's the word. Thank you.
Did they show cartoons at the beginning of these movies back then?
They probably did.
I was wondering.
I don't know, though.
Yeah, I know they're starting to do that again. They're bringing that back. Disney is, anyway. And I wonder when they started that and then when they stopped it.
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I'll have to look into that.
But real quick, back when you were talking about the credits, the first thing that pops up when I started it was RKO Studios, and little known fact, that later became Desilu Studios, because Lucille Ball and Desi Arnaz bought RKO, like right after I Love Lucy, and that became Desilu, and then that later became Paramount.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, the RKO, I was like, oh, I love that, because I know I'm such a Lucille Ball. I love her. So I watch all these documentaries. I even read her biography when I was in 5th grade. Such a dork.
Nice.
I'm such a dork. But yeah, as soon as I saw RKO, I was like, I know that name. I know that studio.
That's awesome, though, because Lucille Ball is pretty awesome.
She's fantastic.
Yeah, she really is. I want to start watching I Love Lucy, because I haven't watched that since I was, like, really little.
You should, yeah, and then watch all the old... They made so many movies based on that time, like, and they're so interesting to see what was going on behind the scenes and how all this came about, and how Desilu came about, and it's fascinating to me.
Very nice. Well, sticking on the lines of the story... No, that's okay. It's completely fine. In general, so we're stating our thoughts about the story. What about the characters? Like,
I love that Jiminy Cricket came in kind of like a bum, and then he just was given this title of being a conscience. He's like, oh, I don't know how to be a conscience. I just want to sleep for the night. Like, I just want to find some place to sleep. And then she gave him all these nice clothes and stuff, and he was like, oh, he was focused more on the clothing and things than even helping Pinocchio. And he's like, oh yeah, I have to help him too, but look at the nice clothes I have. That was so interesting, because when you think of Jiminy Cricket, you think of his high morals and everything, because that's what we want to believe about him. But when you watch it from the beginning, he really just kind of fell into it, and he isn't anything special. He's just a... Yeah, I thought that was interesting, and I never really noticed that before.
You know, in the original story, Jiminy Cricket, he comes in, and, well, first of all, I should say that Pinocchio, in the original story, he is written as a very trickster sort of character, where in the movie they transform him into an innocent sort of character, where he's doing bad things because he doesn't understand, not because he wants to be a bad boy. And there's the part where Jiminy Cricket is telling him, now you need to go to school, and Pinocchio picks up a knife.
Oh.
Or let me see. I wrote it down.
A hammer. I think it's a hammer.
Yeah, it's a hammer. And he throws it at Jiminy Cricket and he kills him.
I saw that on Twitter today. Completely coincidentally, it said in the original story, Pinocchio kills Jiminy Cricket with a hammer.
Yeah. Which I was like, oh, God. But they definitely changed his character for this movie. Mm-hmm. I was going to say, actually, I got us too quickly into characters. I apologize. Because I was going to say real quick about the story. Eric, do you know anything about the story, or was that just Twitter?
The original story, no, that was just Twitter.
Okay. I just want to give some facts on that real quick, and then we'll go back to characters, if that's all right with you guys.
Sure.
So it was written by a man named Carlo Collodi, and basically, I will say that Disney did not really stick to the story at all. There's so many other scenes where Pinocchio gets into trouble. Disney took 2 of them. We see where Pinocchio goes to the theater, and then we see him going to Pleasure Island, which, ironically enough, that's the name of the club at Disney World.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's at the Disney downtown Disney. Yeah,
I was gonna put that reference in my theme park corner, but they tore down Pleasure Island years ago.
Yeah, they got rid of it. Yeah.
Yes,
that's why I didn't even put it in. But they are building a whole new Disney Springs area there.
Oh, nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I forget. I was listening to some podcasts about Pleasure Island and just talking about it, and the person who was talking about it wasn't sure if Disney was trying to be ironic or if they just didn't think about the fact that they used it in Pinocchio, and
I would
it was
hope
meant
that
for...
they thought that through. I would hope.
So too. You'd think they would, but
the movie definitely did seem episodic, like the part where he tries to be an actor and then he gets in trouble for that, and the part where he goes to Pleasure Island. It definitely did seem like they were like Pinocchio originally was a bunch of short stories about Pinocchio and the bad things he did and what he learned from them, and they just sort of tried to tie them together. Not that that's bad, that's just when I was watching it, that's what I felt.
Well, you're sort of right, because the original story was written as a newspaper story, so it was written in segments in a newspaper.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they were totally correct in thinking that. And another thing is that in the original story, as I said, it's very episodic, as Eric said, and there's tons of things. Pinocchio actually almost dies. He almost gets hanged. Well, he does get hanged, but he's a wooden puppet. So, and he actually turns full into a donkey in the actual story. And the character, I forget his name, the guy he befriends at Pleasure Island,
Lampwick, yeah.
Lampwick, yeah. He is in the original story as well. He goes to school with Pinocchio, and they're best friends, and he's the one who invites Pinocchio to go with them. And Jiminy Cricket does come back. Actually, I don't even think his name's Jiminy Cricket in the original story. I think it's just a cricket. And he comes back as a ghost, and is there to guide Pinocchio, but he's not really a conscience. They never call him Pinocchio's conscience. And, let's see. The Blue Fairy is in the story, I think. She's just a fairy, but she's not the same. She's more like, I think she refers to herself as Pinocchio's mother. And he, like, stays with her, and he keeps letting her down, and he lets a lot of people down in the original story. He just constantly is doing wrong. That's why I didn't really like it. I was just like, oh my gosh, Pinocchio, get it together. But, yeah, that was, I don't know. I couldn't wait to be done with that story when I was listening to it, but anyway, that's neither here nor there. The Pinocchio character, though, what's interesting is that compared to, like, the other character we had in our last film, Snow White, I think he's much more relatable to kids.
Yeah.
Because he's not perfect.
Right.
I kind of wonder, do you think Pinocchio's a horror story at all? Like, think how creepy. Whenever I started watching, it's creepy. Like, this old guy living by himself, creating all these wooden dolls, and then pretending they're alive, wishing they were alive, making it come alive, and then just embracing it and sending it to school. And he's still wooden. He's a alive wooden creature going to school. Like, that's so creepy. And then these random fox people just ushering him away with no supervision or anything. I mean, to this weird place where this guy collects boys and turns them into donkeys. I mean, this is such a creepy story, I think.
I agree. It's terrifying, I think. Very psychologically terrifying.
And you think Disney would water it down a little bit. If this is them watering it down, then it must have been really creepy to begin with. Because it's creepy.
It is, yeah. It is creepy.
I think that back then they didn't see it as creepy like we see it now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
But I think it's just the time, I guess. It's very, even though it's creepy, I think it's very simple. Like, it's a moral story about teaching a boy and young boys in general to be good.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I think...
Yeah, I thought that it was a... Yeah, it was a big symbolism where, you'll be a real boy if you do the right thing. And then he, all the things that he learns, like the whole thing about when he goes to... don't go to school, take the easy way out and be an actor, and then he does it, but then he gets thrown in the cage and they, no, you're just making me money. That's sort of what, being an actor really is. And then where he goes to Pleasure Island, it's sort of the symbolic, if you do all of these things, you'll look like a donkey, so don't do these things. It was sort of symbolic of that. and so at the end he learns not to do them.
It seems like it was written at a time, the actual story, when I didn't actually look the year it was written, but there was a time when children's literature was first being published, and a lot of it was written just to teach kids moral lessons. Mm-hmm. So I think that this would definitely fit in that category as being almost manipulative in its style.
Yeah, but it wasn't very subtle with its lessons at all. It was pretty in your face.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sort of like, what's that, a lie grows until it's plain as the nose on your face.
Yeah. That's one of the most biggest iconic parts of Pinocchio, but that would only happen once. And it wasn't a very big deal in the movie when it happened.
I know, it wasn't.
Like, I would never pick out, that's the part that becomes the most famous.
Yeah.
Because going into it, you would think that he kind of has that throughout the whole movie, that the more he lies, the bigger it grows, and then the more he tells the truth, it goes down. But it was just then. I mean, he could have lied the rest of the movie and nothing would have happened.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I thought one thing that stood out to me was this whole controversy that goes on in Disney where they're saying you can wish upon your star, or a star, I should say, and then all your dreams will come true. And as I was watching it, I kind of thought, I just think people are making it too big of a deal out of that whole symbolism, I guess. Like, because when I watch it, I think, oh, it's a fantasy. I know that's not true. If I wish upon a star, a wooden puppet's not going to come to life. Like, but it seems like people really invested in this story, which I guess makes sense because it was made like right before World War II began, at least for the United States, and the Depression was ending, so people wanted something to believe in.
Right.
But I'm just surprised how much stock people put into this idea.
I think
because it's still
I think it was just more.
Disney marketed it that way. I don't think people had a choice. Disney saw this and they didn't care what the rest of the movie was about. They're like, well, we can market this song and market this story and market this wishing idea, and they just ran with it.
Yeah.
I think it was just more of a way of thinking in an optimistic way. That if you believe in something and think positively and really wish for something, then it's going to come true.
But see, a lot of people complain about that ideology, saying, well, that's not how it works.
Oh, I love that.
And that's...
I love
that.
Yeah,
I would prefer to think that way.
Yeah.
Well, I think they agree. I think people, there's a lot of people who say, but that's not how it works, even, no matter how much.
Darn realists. Yeah. I hate realists. Sorry, any realists listening. I'm an idealist.
Those people who ruin our fun.
I know. Just let me enjoy it. Let me think that if I wish on a star, something good can happen. Just let me think that. What harm is it?
I'll tell you that being an English major, I was surrounded by a lot of realists.
Oh, how painful.
So it is painful, actually. I would sit there oftentimes silently thinking, oh my gosh, why are you hating on Disney?
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Hating on just hope. Just like, oh my gosh, I don't want to bring in Enlightened, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
The same exact idea, same exact concept. Why must you stomp on my hope and joy and hope for the world? Just let me enjoy that.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's just, excuse me for wanting to think positively and be optimistic.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And even if, okay, just take that out of there for a second and look at this and say, okay, if you want to be a realist, can't we all agree that when we watch Pinocchio, we know it's a fantasy? Like, I don't know about you guys, but when I was a little kid, I didn't watch a Disney movie and think, oh yeah, this is real life. I bet this will happen.
Yeah.
Like, I watched it and I knew.
Honestly, it was like, I had seen clips of Pinocchio and sort of the clips that I remembered as a kid. I didn't remember the part with the donkeys at all. I remembered, and it might have been because I only saw the movie through, like, sing-along tapes or things where they would only show the songs. But I saw the part with the clocks, and I thought how the clocks all worked was interesting. And then the other part that I remembered seeing as a kid was when the Gideon and Honest John were sitting in the tavern talking to the guy who owns Pleasure Island, and Gideon, they're smoking, and Gideon takes the ring of smoke and dunks it. Yeah, and he eats it like it's a donut. And for some reason, I always remembered that. I don't know why.
Too. That's stuck in my mind. And all the big, colorful, like, what are they, facades or whatever in the carnival section, just bits and pieces. I guess you're child brain notices those colors and those big faces or whatever. Because I remember that, and the donut thing. Yeah, I remember that, and the smoking with the round holes. And I'm like, I want to be able to do that, and that was a bad idea for a child.
Yeah,
right.
I remember I've got no strings to hold me down, and all of the other puppets that talk to him. I remembered that. For some reason, I don't know why.
And the Russian ones that were jumping around.
Yeah, the Cossacks.
I remember that so much from, like, the Disney sing-along tapes.
Yeah.
They had that. And I don't know why. I was wondering, too, why did this stand out to me? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, just bits and pieces. I know I did see this full movie when I was little. Maybe a couple times.
See, the thing is, I don't think I did.
I know I did. I borrowed the VHS tape from my grandma. That's how I watched this. So...
Yeah, I had it.
Obviously, I watched it.
I watched it a lot. I think I really liked it when I was little, actually, but I didn't get any of it, obviously. I just saw dancing things and colors, but
right.
Little bits and pieces were coming back to me in a weird way. It's really weird to explain. But.
Yeah. What did you guys think of the villains, the fox, the cat, and the owner of Pleasure Island?
The owner of Pleasure Island was really scary. The part where his face got all red and he yelled, that was really scary. The fox and the cat were just kind of sly, sleazy guys that were just sort of out to make money, and they're very generic, so it was really easy to forget them and not remember what their names were. And I remember always knowing, the villain in Pinocchio was that fox and that other guy, but I never knew what their names were. I didn't remember really what they did. And the one guy doesn't even talk at all.
He was supposed to, though.
Oh, really?
He's like Dopey. The same guy who was supposed to play Dopey. I forget who it was. It was somebody who voiced a lot of Looney Tunes, I think.
Mel Blanc.
Yes.
That was, he did, mostly all the Looney Tunes. He was the original voice of Bugs Bunny.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he was, I definitely thought that Gideon character was very, Dopey, and apparently
Actually, I didn't think of that, but you're right.
Yeah, he's just very in the same humor. Just kind of dumb.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, when they appeared on screen, I had no idea who the villain was in Pinocchio. This whole time I thought it was a whale. It was the main villain. That's all I remembered from when I was little. I forgot the fox was even in it completely. And so when they came in, I recognized them immediately because they're in the parades at Disney World. Otherwise, I would not have known these characters whatsoever. And I thought they were part of Splash Mountain or something. I don't know.
They definitely look like they would be.
Yeah. But I thought, watching it now, I thought they were scary. You said that you thought the fox was kind of forgettable. I thought he was scarier than the guy who owned the circus. I
got actually scared by that guy, yeah.
I just thought, compared to the Wicked Queen from Snow White, I didn't think that these villains really compared to her.
I don't think so either.
I thought they were scary because they actually went out and did their dirty work. She just ordered people to do it. She felt harmless to me, but these guys, they knew their stuff.
I think that because...
I guess they were scarier.
I thought they were.
But
I think because they split it up, there was the two. There was the fox, there was the cat, there was the Stromboli, the puppet show guy, and there was the owner of the Pleasure Island, and then there's Monster. And just because there's so many of them, and so the owner of Pleasure Island's barely in it at all. He's hardly in it, and so you can't really get enough of it. You see, Snow White had one villain. So you had to have it, because there were a lot of different villains. I think that it wasn't as effective.
Well, you gotta say, that whole scene when you actually see Lampwick turning into a donkey.
Yeah, that was really creepy.
That was terrifying. Just hearing him yell.
With the shadows,
Yeah. I think that's, to me, that, we were talking about Disney, scary things and stuff today with my grandma, and... She was talking about, I think, Maleficent. I think Maleficent's really scary, but this is a different kind of scary. This is really terrifying to me.
Totally different.
Yeah, I don't know.
I thought it was scary. But, as soon as you see the fox and that cat or whatever walking down, and all the kids already went to school, and Pinocchio's the only one on the cobblestones. That's scary. I was like, whoa, this is creepy. I don't want to see that walking to school one day. That's just creepy.
Yeah.
Ugh. That is creepy. And also, we didn't talk about the Blue Fairy much.
She comes in 3 times.
She does. She's not even visible the one time. Isn't it when she turns Pinocchio into a real boy? That's the 3rd time?
Yeah.
Or is it?
No, she is. You can see her.
At the beginning, and then in that carriage, and then at the end, right?
Yeah.
But you don't see her at the end.
Do you don't?
I'm not sure.
Oh, I thought you did.
She just says Pinocchio awakened, but you don't actually see her.
I feel like they had a hard time animating her because it looked really weird. That her animation just didn't look as crisp as the other ones.
When I was watching the movie and the Blue Fairy scenes came on, I was immediately reminded of another character, and I thought, who does she look like? And finally, she so reminds me of Glinda from The Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think she was, because I think this came out in 1940.
Yeah.
Yeah, and The Wizard of Oz was in 1939.
Yes.
So, I'm sure she was probably modeled somewhat after Glinda.
Mm-hmm.
Like the way she comes in through the window, sort of like in a bubble, that like glowing bubble, and her blonde hair and just her style, and even her voice, just her attitude, so much like Glinda.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. Do you want to move on to music?
Sure.
Oh, one quick thing. I did love. I think I have to say the characters had a lot of funny lines that only adults would get, like very. Just subtle things, and even Jiminy Cricket's lines were so subtle. And the one part I had to laugh out loud was whenever the fox guy takes Pinocchio maybe the 2nd time, and he gives him his ticket for Pleasure Island. He pulls an ace out of his sleeve. I mean, that's just such a funny little thing, and they had a lot of those, and they're clever. And most people would be like, oh, whatever, okay, so he did that. But then a lot in the back of your mind, you think, oh, that's clever, or that's funny, or certain lines here and there.
Wait, explain that to me. I don't get that.
What?
I was just about to say the ace thing.
The ace, you don't get the ace from... They always, whenever you're playing cards and people who would cheat and stuff, they say they have an ace up their sleeve. Have you ever heard of that term?
Oh, I never heard that.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh my gosh. But wow. Wow, listeners, please back me up on this.
But I never, yeah.
Yeah, you have an ace up your sleeve because you're cheating, or you're lying, or you're a bad card player, and you want to cheat, so you have an ace up your sleeve, so you pull up, or even use a figure of speech now, because if you have a trick or something that someone's not expecting, you pull an ace out of your sleeve. I mean, that's just a figure of speech. So whenever he gave him his card, he pulled an ace out of his sleeve, and I'm like, oh, I wonder. That shows that he's lying and he's a cheat. And
exactly.
All of that.
That's really clever.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of that in this movie. I picked up on a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's great, yeah. And actually, you just reminded me of something. Last episode, we talked about, Jen, I don't know if you were able to listen or not, but we talked about something called ring composition.
No, I didn't listen to it yet.
Well, I'll just briefly explain what it is. Ring composition is basically a technique used in a lot of stories, and we don't even realize it. God bless you. Where a story comes full circle. So the way stories will do this is they'll take a moment from the beginning of the story and then reflect it at the end. And this movie definitely does that.
When You Wish Upon a Star is at the very beginning and at the very end.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's one of them. We see Geppetto on his knees praying in the beginning, and then crying on his knees at the end. And then we see another thing where he's dancing with Pinocchio as a puppet, and then he dances with him as a real boy.
Yeah.
And those things, I mean, I think it's in our psychology. Like we don't see these things as making us like a movie, but it is wired in our brains where we like movies at the end because they tie together, and we feel, like you said, Eric, like we had a big meal by the end, and we're nice and full by the end.
Yeah, oh,
go ahead.
I was thinking about the ring composition in different Disney movies, and I noticed that a lot of them use that. I mean, you have Lion King, it starts with them at Pride Rock, it ends with them on Pride Rock.
Yes.
There was another one. Aladdin starts with the narrator in the desert. It ends with the narrator in the desert. Hercules starts with the paintings on the vases, and it ends with the paintings on the vases. And then we talked about Beauty and the Beast with the stained glass windows at the beginning and at the end. And also Toy Story, because it starts with the clouds and ends with the clouds.
Exactly. Yeah, they use it all the time, and it's very weird, because I just heard about this theory last summer. Apparently our brains, are not wired, or I shouldn't say our brains are wired, but we, as Western people, are apparently not aware of this theory. Apparently a lot of people in the East know about this theory. Because as an English major, we never talked about ring composition, and it's used in books a lot. An example would be the Chronicles of Narnia. It's used a lot in those type of things, or the Lord of the Rings.
I think Enlightened is a ring composition. That's all it is.
It probably is, and I'll have to look out for that when I watch it, because I haven't been, so I'll have to really pay attention.
Yeah, everything you've been mentioning, even in the other examples in Disney movies, everything, it starts off one way, and then it comes around and either turns it to a different perspective, but it always revisits the same thing in an episode.
Yeah.
Actually, yes, you're totally right. I did notice it one time. I forget which episode, but yeah.
I was talking about How I Met Your Mother is, the whole series is, even though I really hated the ending, because the very first episode, Ted steals the blue French horn, and he stands outside of Robin's apartment with the blue French horn, and then the very last scene of the last episode is him, when he's older, gets the blue French horn again, and it ends with him standing outside the apartment with the blue French horn, just like in the very first episode. Even though I hate that ending, that does use it.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
I love that technique.
Yes. Oh, yeah, it's wonderful, and we'll definitely talk about it more, because it's used all the time.
I never knew it had a name. I know I always loved when things did that, but I never knew it had a name. It was technical.
It's actually, the way I heard of it was from Harry Potter, because Harry Potter uses it. And there's a man named John Granger who he's the one who basically, I wouldn't say discovered it, but he talks about it all the time. And it's really interesting just studying Harry Potter and now looking at it in other works. It's just, it's really cool. But yeah, moving on to music now. What did we think of the music? Other than When You Wish Upon a Star. Just everything else.
I thought it was very iconic. I think that in a lot subsequent years to when this movie came out, the music has been separated from the movie, so you don't know that it comes from that, but it does. And I just thought that I really enjoyed it. I thought that the music was I like the An Actor's Life for Me. I really like that song. Oh, yeah. I liked, like I said before, I liked I've Got No Strings to Hold Me Down, and then Give a Little Whistle, which is another one of the songs that was done as a jazz version by Dave Brubeck on that CD. That's one of the tunes that he did, was Give a Little Whistle. So I think that a lot of them become, and even When You Wish Upon a Star, with that's sort of the main tune that's used with Disney. I mean, whenever the Disney logo is showed, whenever at the beginning of a movie, whenever The Wonderful World of Disney, I remember as a kid on Sunday nights, welcome back to the Wonderful World of Disney, buddy, and it was, that's from Pinocchio. And you don't really think nobody really thinks, that's from Pinocchio.
I think they relate it to Jiminy Cricket, but then they don't always relate Jiminy Cricket to Pinocchio.
Exactly, yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I like the music. We did a Disney show when I was in first grade, and we sang almost every one of these songs, except, actually we did sing When You Wish Upon a Star. Yeah, I think we sang every song from Pinocchio. Because if you think about it, I think the songs stop after I've Got No Strings. I don't think there are any more after that, are there? I don't
remember any of them. Just, no.
No, there's not.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. No. But I think, I wouldn't say that hurts the film, though, but it is interesting how the tone changes after the music is gone.
Mm-hmm.
It gets much more dark, I think, even though it was dark before. But to me, it seemed much more darker the second half with the whole jackass thing and stuff.
This is a
My bad.
PG podcast.
My bad. When You Wish Upon a Star, the opening, that made me tear up a little.
Yeah, it did bring a lot of feels.
Yeah.
Did. Oh, so many feels. I feel like I'm on Tumblr now saying that. I know you guys don't use Tumblr.
Not really.
But, well, people say it all the time where they're like, the feels.
I do that on Twitter. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, and then the other thing I wanted to bring up, because, I mean, unless there's anything else you guys want to say about the music.
No, I don't
nothing else
really
for me.
have too much about that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the final thing is, and I wish JD was here for this, because I don't know the technical terms for everything, but the animation we should talk about.
Yeah, being the second animated movie, I thought it was a definite, not that Snow White was bad, but it was a definite, you could really see the improvement from Snow White. Yeah. I thought that the colors were a lot sharper. It was just they really figured out how to do a lot of things better.
Yeah, and I forget what the technique's called, but the scene when after, like, the morning of Pinocchio going to school, and they, like, zoom in on the town, and the doves are flying.
Yeah.
That whole scene with the doves and stuff, and zooming into the town, that was a first, I think, in animation, so that was pretty incredible.
I still think they had trouble animating that fairy. She didn't look right.
I think they did.
Yeah.
No, I think you're right. I think she was the hardest part, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
That's a random fact. I don't know where I read that.
Maybe the same deal with the prince. Maybe they had a better time animating her. She came back in the end, or had more to do.
You know, I did. This will sound weird, but when I was younger, I always thought the prince looked very feminine, and I think that she sort of resembles, like, I don't know why, just her eye structure and her face. I don't know. It reminded me of the prince a little.
Yeah.
Which I found weird, but now that you're bringing that up, it makes sense. But she was glowing. So that's a little different. Yeah, I can imagine. And they also, another big technique was the underwater shots.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think, I didn't write that down, I forget, but there's a term for that.
Oh, by the way, that was one of the big parts, Danielle, when you probably were thinking, oh, just get to the whale, like, I want this movie to do it. It's probably when, I thought it was really unnecessary when they first went underwater and they looked and searched for the whale for so long, and it got really boring.
Yeah, I even skipped ahead a little bit. I was thinking he's just talking to fish. I don't really care.
And nothing happens. It's so, and the thing is, the movie's an hour and 40 minutes long. Usually they're hour and 30 minutes. So I think that there was like 10 minutes of extra stuff that was just 10 minutes too long.
And how about those plot holes of when did he get a boat? When did he go to the ocean?
Yeah, that was weird,
Why did he go look for him at the ocean? Why would he even...
I know.
How did he even get swallowed by the whale? Why was he that far out?
That doesn't really make much sense, yeah. Like, oh, I went to look for you, so I got swallowed by a whale. I don't see the connection there.
See, in the book it makes sense because Pinocchio has been missing for like 3 months or something, or 3 years, I forget if it's months or years, and so he tries to go to America, Geppetto.
See, that makes more sense here. Yeah, see, that makes sense.
Yeah, but this did not make sense in the Disney
also
movie.
how the cat and the fish both safely made it to shore after his boat.
Yeah. Why the fish is the fish is in the fish bowl, inside the whale's mouth.
It conveniently rolls up on the shore. Yeah, I thought that was funny. I did wonder that.
But I too felt as soon as Jiminy and Pinocchio got back to his house, and then they didn't even get to the whale part yet, and he got to his house, I'm like, okay, this should end here, or have a little wrap-up scene. They don't need a whole another segment.
I think they did have trouble when they were doing this movie with the story. Like, I don't know exactly what gave them so much trouble, but I think you can tell by how it ended up that it's just not a very solid story.
Yeah, I was very, like, they get back, and the way that they get the message is from the bird delivering it to them. I didn't get that. I thought, because I didn't remember seeing this, I thought that they were going to come back and find a note written, but then I don't understand, but then that wouldn't have made sense, because how could he have written a note that's there if he's in a whale. Like, oh yeah, I went to look for you. I'm in a whale, and he left the note there. Like, how did he? That didn't make sense. So, I guess I don't know how else they could have done that, but
even as the time was ticking away on my time bar, and we're getting further and further to the end, and there's like 10, 15 minutes left, and I'm thinking, there is a whale in this movie. Was I imagining? I was thinking, was there really? Maybe that was a different movie. Was there really a whale segment? There is, right? He's in a whale, and it took way till the end until it finally happened, and I was looking for clues of maybe there will be a whale, but it just came out of nowhere, and it actually had me questioning if I wasn't imagining that when I was little or not. It's so random.
I think that as a kid, it's hard because it's hard to put all of these different segments together because they didn't have very good transitions between them, and they weren't seem like it was very just like episodes that happened, and so you as a kid you think it's a different movie, you remember it as something different.
Yeah, exactly. Very episodic. Okay, do you think that finishes our discussion?
Sure.
Good.
I think it does. I think we basically covered everything. So I have a quick game for us.
Okay.
Because I couldn't pass it up with Pinocchio, so I didn't think of a clever title this time.
Is it going to be something with lying?
I knew.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Very good. You're so perceptive, Eric. Very good. So in this game, I'm going to give you some facts, and you guys as a team, not individually, as a team, need to come to a consensus of if I'm lying or if I'm telling the truth. If you say I'm lying and you get it correct, then my nose will grow. And if you get 3 correct, that I lied 3 times, then I will lose. And I can say anything silly that you want me to say. I will say it.
Oh, okay.
The same, though, goes for the opposite for you guys. If you guess that I'm lying and I'm actually telling the truth, then the 3 times, if that happens 3 times, then I get to make you guys say something.
Oh, gee.
Okay.
But I actually haven't even thought of something. I just kind of thought of that thing on the spot.
What are these things going to have to do with Disney or like you and your life or?
Disney.
Okay.
Yeah, all Disney.
Okay.
So are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, so here's my first fact. Hans's horse in Frozen, who keeps Anna from falling in the water before the coronation, has a name, Citron, which means orange in Norwegian.
Are we supposed to know if that's voiced in the film?
No, you're just supposed to say if that fact is true or false.
How the heck would I know if it's not voiced in the film?
I think that's false.
Okay,
I think it's false.
Yeah, why would he be named Orange? I think that's false.
You are correct.
Yes.
My nose has grown. It is correct though that his name is Citron, but it actually means lemon in Norwegian.
But my reasoning
that's
was
tricky.
off.
Yeah, I thought that they didn't give it a name at all. Wow.
I was like, why would it be named Orange? Okay.
There you go. Okay. Fact number 2. The scene in which Elsa walks out onto the balcony of her newly constructed ice palace is 218 frames long and includes the film's longest frame to render. The single frame took more than 132 hours to render. That's more than 5 days. Am I lying or telling the truth?
True, because that sounds like you read that from somewhere.
And that's a really good, hard scene to do, so I'm going to say true.
You guys got it right.
Yes.
That's true. So I did not lie.
Yes.
I did not lie. So. Okay. Next. Walt was an ambulance driver, Walt Disney, in World War I in France.
Whoa.
Wasn't that somebody else? Wasn't that Ernest Hemingway?
I don't know. You tell me.
That's false because I believe it's from Silver Linings Playbook. It's Ernest Hemingway.
I'll agree. False.
It's false.
You are wrong. It's
agreed. I have no idea about Ernest Hemingway.
No, that wasn't.
Maybe it was Hemingway. I don't know. But Walt drove a ambulance because he tried to enter the war, but he was 16 and he was too young.
Wow.
Oh.
So, okay, so it's a tie right now.
It is. I thought it was 2-1.
I thought it was 3.
No, because the other facts. I should have explained. This is a confusing game. I apologize. you got them right, but I wasn't lying, so my nose didn't grow. I wasn't lying.
Oh, so it's if we catch you in a lie.
Yeah, if you catch me in a lie, but if I tell a truth and you guys say it's a lie, then it backfires on you.
Okay. But what if you're saying the truth and we guess the truth? Then nothing happens?
Then nothing
Okay,
happens.
so we have to catch you in a lie, okay.
Yes, I apologize. Yeah, I should have said that before. Okay, next one. Of all the Disney characters, Aurora speaks the least.
True, because I think I read that somewhere. It would make sense because she's sleeping for the whole thing.
Yeah, I'll go with true.
That is false.
I should have my instinct! Because I love that movie, and I thought Cinderella talked less than she did.
Well, actually, she's the second least speaker in Disney characters.
Snow White?
Dumbo.
Oh, Dumbo.
Yeah, Dumbo doesn't speak at all. He
Snow
speaks
White
the
hardly.
least.
I thought it was princesses. Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no, just Disney characters.
Oh.
Otherwise, that could be anything.
Yeah, if it was Disney princesses, then...
Oh, yeah, if it was princesses, yeah.
Yeah, that's
what
I read then.
Yeah.
Yeah, she only speaks 18 lines.
Yeah, Dumbo, because Dumbo doesn't talk.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, here's the next one. Alice in Wonderland was the first Disney theatrical release to air on TV.
Ooh.
No, I don't think so. I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say it because I think it was Peter Pan, so I'm going to say no.
And it is true.
Oh, man.
Here I thought you guys would kill me.
Oh, we suck.
Yes. No, just kidding. Okay, well, you guys, that's 3, so I can make you say whatever I want.
Oh, okay, here we go.
What are you
But
do?
I gotta think, though. Okay. Oh, okay, I've got one.
I know. I think I know what you're going to make me say.
I don't know. Well, it can be the same thing, because I
Oh,
can't think
okay.
it too. I would like you to say this line from Jafar, from Aladdin. It's time to say goodbye to Prince
I
Abu
knew
and
you were
say it
going to
in
say
his-
that.
And say it in his voice.
Yeah, we were going to say goodbye to Prince Abu.
Go ahead, Jen.
It's time to say goodbye to Prince Abu Boo.
I just actually, the other day I was substitute teaching and it was an elementary school. I was in for an elementary school music teacher. It was on Friday. And the lesson plans literally were, there's 6 movies, have the kids vote on which one they want to watch, and have them watch it. So, and they were all VHSs too. And the teacher was there at the very beginning of the day, and I said, wow, people still have VHS tapes? She said, oh, well, we do at my house. So the one of the movies was Aladdin, so I really got to really sort of watch that again, because I haven't seen that in a really long time. And so that's just, I saw that line.
Quick reference to Fantasmic. He says it's time to say goodbye to Mickey.
Yes, he does.
Oh, really?
Yes, he does. I remember that. I love Fantasmic.
Me too. So much.
Okay, so now to quickly wrap up the episode, let's do our question of the week.
Alright. That's me, right?
Yes, but I'll quickly recap our other one, but we won't spend too much time on it since I know you have
We
to
didn't
go.
do our Zippity Doodah moment?
Oh my gosh, you're right!
Oh,
We
yeah.
didn't do our Zippity Doodah moment. Okay, Jen, do you want to go first?
Sure. My Zippity Doodah moment is, I had 3. I actually have 3 written down, but I'm gonna pick at the very end whenever Jiminy gets his gold medal, because he references that in the beginning, and when we were talking about his character, I realized how much I do love his character and his growth and his transition, so I love that he gets his medal at the end.
Very
My
nice.
favorite.
What about you, Eric?
I liked when they went to Pleasure Island and they're showing all the different things that the boys could do, and every single one of them was like some like fantasy idea that every little boy like really wants to do but they're not allowed to. And one of them, they showed this one, and it was some type of fun house where it was a model house that they could go in and just mess up as much as they wanted to. And they go in and like the Lumpwick like throws a rock through the window, and you're like supposed to do that. That was my favorite part.
Nice. I think my favorite part was when the Blue Fairy first came. I just loved her character, that animation, even though it was kind of poor. I thought it was so magical seeing her come through the window and make Pinocchio into a real boy and tell him, you must do this, this, and this to become an actual real boy. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was my favorite, my Zippity Doodah moment. Okay, I think it's time for our question of the week. So let me quickly recap our last week's question, which was from JD. His question was, what if Frozen was made during the first Disney Renaissance? Would the film be a clone or similar to the first Renaissance style, and how would it differ from the actual movie? When do you think Frozen would have been released on the Disney Renaissance timeline? Yeah, so Eric, why don't you do it first to give Jen a little time to think about it, since she wasn't here.
I think that it would have been more along the lines of the style that was going on at the time, rather than the style that it was made in today. And we talked about this on our last podcast, but I think that the main characters would not act the same way that they did. I think that we were talking about how Belle seemed to have a lot more intelligence, and it was just made with this like higher level of class than it was made today. So I think it would have been, in that sense, the main characters would have been more like just generally intelligent, and it would have been it wouldn't have been computer animated, first of all, and it would have been more. They would have had more intelligence, and I think that there wouldn't have been such some of the characters might not have been there, and the story might have been a little bit different.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think it would have been very different in the style and the way the characters act. I also think, in terms of like when it would have been released, they actually were thinking about making it during the 90s, a rendition on the Snow Queen, but I think animating the actual Snow Queen proved to be really difficult, and then the project halted for a while. But I think it would have been released like after Beauty and the Beast, before Aladdin, I think, if they had done it.
There is that Snow Queen movie, though, remember, that we referenced back.
Yeah.
It is an animation. Disney doesn't do it, and that came out in the 90s, so I don't know if Disney would have put it out when that one did, because people would have got really confused.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
But yeah, whenever Eric said classy, that's what came to my mind. It would have been more sophisticated.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And not as childish, I guess.
Teenage,
not really
teeny bopper girly.
Yeah. Even though I don't agree that it's totally childish, I just think the Renaissance movies are much less childish. I can accept Frozen's childish level, it's fine for me, but I just think the Renaissance ones go so far the other way that they're not childish at all.
Right.
So I probably would have been more like that. But same story, I'm guessing, and same general things. Not much would have changed, just a feel, a more mature feel, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Very nice. Okay, so now let's move on to our question of the week, which is from Jen.
Okay. I feel really bad about this question now, because it echoes exactly that Frozen question, just in reverse. I said, because of Pinocchio's darker themes and ideas, if it was released for the first time today, using the new animation, making it modern and such, but having the exact same story, exact same themes, exact same plot and journeys, the donkey, everything, same lines, just maybe more modern language if you want to throw that in, but same idea. How do you think the modern audience would respond to that?
Ooh.
Very interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. One that we should ask a lot, actually, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But this one especially, since we were talking about that, with the whole clock stuff and all that. Very nice question.
Yeah, and
Thank
with
you.
The clock stuff, I mean, they can change the animation all they want. They can make it epic. They can make 3D, and they can do whatever they want with the clocks. They can make it a whole section.
Right.
Using today's technology. But it would still be an extended clock scene. Wouldn't change.
Yes, exactly. Well, very nice. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Okay, so that ends our episode. And I just realized, guys, that when we introduced ourselves, I completely forgot to say, like, poor JD's not here. As you might have noticed at this point, JD was not with us today.
No, he didn't die or anything. That sounded like JD is no longer with us. Like,
yes, he has passed. No, I'm just kidding. No, he couldn't make it in this episode, so yes, don't worry, we haven't forgotten him. Though I can't believe I didn't mention that in the beginning, but yes, he had some projects to do for school. So he is diligently working toward graduation.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, so that is why he was not here today. So we greatly missed him, but he will be on next time. Okay, so as I said, that ends our episode. Talk magic to me about Pinocchio. If you would like to answer our question of the week, or send us a Zippity Doodah moment, or just respond in general to the points we brought up, please visit our website at www.talkmagictome.com. That's the number 2. There you can leave a comment on our posts, or you can find our Twitter on there, our Facebook, our Tumblr, our YouTube channel. You can subscribe to us on iTunes that way. You can find our SoundCloud link and our Podomatic link. It's all there. So be sure.
And if anybody knows the ace up your sleeve reference, please let us know and I will follow you.
Yeah, that's a challenge for you guys.
You will be my new friend.
Yeah, exactly. Let us know that you're listening by telling us if you knew the ace or not.
Ace up your sleeve.
Let us know.
Yeah,
let us know.
Ace up your sleeve. Let us know.
That you have an ace up your sleeve. No, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, and then please leave us some feedback on iTunes, because when you wish upon 5 stars, all your dreams come true.
And that's very appropriate for this episode.
Oh my gosh, you're right, it is. Oh, it so is. Yes, so please do that, because the feedback really helps us. And as we said last episode, if you like this podcast and want to support us, head on over to our donate page and maybe donate a few dollars. It really helps our podcast, helps us pay for things like our hosting website, where we post our podcast. So definitely go over and do that if you like us a lot, If you don't like us,
sorry, don't listen.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're listening to us.
Yeah, go away. No, I'm just kidding. If you don't like us, tell us, maybe be critical about it, tell us why, and we'll respond. But please like us, because we like you guys.
Well,
we really do. I think we would like you guys. We like Disney fans. We want to communicate with you guys. So if maybe there's something you disagree with us about, let us know, because it's good for us. We can respond to that. So yeah, I think that's about it. From all of us at Talk Magic to Me, I'm Danielle.
And Jen.
And I'm Prince Air.
And we'll talk to you guys next time on Talk Magic to Me.
Bye.
Bye.
I am one of your hosts, Danielle.
I'm
Jen.
Prince Air.
No.
Oh, let's try it again.
Here, let's start over.
Yeah, can we start over? That wasn't good at all.
Sorry to interrupt, but my cat's licking plastic. Hold on.
Okay.
Bella, stop. Hold on.
That cat's really messed up.
Bella, stop it.
That cat hates me.
Stop it.
It hates me. I never did anything to that cat, and it hates me.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, I was talking about how much that cat hates me.
Yeah, no, she does.
Yeah, see?
She... Blurry as you zoom in.
Oh.
Is my mom gonna get that? Yeah, she's getting it. Hold on, I can hear her.
Blooper. Pinocchio was originally published as a newspaper series. Collodi tried to kill Pinocchio off by hanging him.
You said that earlier.
Wait, yeah, let's go to a different one.
Yes, exactly. I just realized that. Yeah, I said that. That's why I laughed. I was like, are you kidding me? I gave that away. My bad, guys. Sorry. I wrote these before the Phillies game.
Oh, okay.
Okay. My bad. Okay, yes. Okay, next one.